Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for joining into episode 5 of the Croydon Corner Football Show. Today I am here with Coach Aaron Hughes, who works with Palace for Life Foundation, and I am ever so grateful to have you on. Thank you, Aaron.
Oh, you're welcome. Morning. Yeah, really happy to be involved. So, really good, cool thing you're doing. So, if I can be of any help, then happy to get involved and help the. That's a really good idea. Talking is the best thing we can do, I think, for mental health. So, brilliant stuff.
Thank you so much. So, Aaron, to start off with, could you tell me, your introduction to football? What really got you into football when you were younger?
Yeah, so like most young boys, when I was young, a long time ago, when I started playing, is mostly boys. Then more girls are playing now, right? But just the same sort of story, I think, as most people. You know, everyone sort of played football on the streets. So that was my first sort of steps, falling in love with the game just by playing it on the streets, watching it on the TV. Um, Joining a little local football team, so grassroots football, really enjoying that, playing with your friends, things like that. And then I kind of just been playing, they've never really stopped playing since then. Also got into coaching, as you know, of course, as I got a little bit older. But yeah, it's just started from just love of the game, join a little local team, really enjoy that, the social side of things that comes with that as well. So it becomes a big part of, and if you love football like I do, it becomes a big part of your weekly sort of life. You know, you're watching a lot of football, playing football, talking about football, coaching. So
No,
yeah,
100%. Do you feel like, being a player that's inspired you to become a coach?
I think yeah, love of the game really. I think that's the key thing. Love the game. Um, and as I got older, the other thing I really enjoyed was the idea that you can help someone to improve. You can play maybe a small role, small part in that. That's really rewarding. Really found it really rewarding. So even when I was at school, I kind of was interested in coaching. I remember being maybe year 10, 11 and working with the younger age groups, 9, 10. We did a couple of really, really bad sessions for them we put on. Really poor looking back, but the interest was there. So it's just the love of those two things, I think. Passion for football and then the idea that you can help somebody was a really rewarding thing to try and do.
For sure. Like, would you have any, memorable moments or any highlights, within your coaching career?
I think lots of little ones. So one of the main reasons again to go and coach is to, like I said, help people develop. So when you see that, and it's all they've made the big steps. It's not you play maybe a small tiny part in their development, but if you see something, it could be quite small. They're working on a particular part of their game, and you've worked with them one to one, and you maybe see that in a game. After a few months of working with them, you see something that they start to improve on. You see that in the game. That's amazing from a coach's point of view. So lots of little things like that I've kind of really enjoyed. So I started with my little local team. I started coaching with a team when they was sort of 7, 8 years old, and they're like 17 now. So I've been with that team the whole time. So some of the when they were very young, physically really nice boys. So some of them physically found the game a little bit difficult in terms of competing, and they didn't want to upset their opponents. So working on things, just how you use your body in football, how to shield the ball, just the kind of simple stuff. But now when you see them, some of them have grown all taller than me now, which isn't that hard. But they're
But
all
that's
kind of
something that you
monsters.
must be so proud of, seeing from such a young age grow and
Exactly, yeah.
develop, just being a part of that journey.
Exactly, that's what I mean. You see them now; they're monsters. They're able to dominate physically, things like that. So things like that are really nice. My little team won the league last year.
Oh, wow.
So although I've never been obsessed with winning, I've always tried to, put the players first. Is what they get out of it first. But the big thing for me as a coach as well was the opportunity to try to help provide them with a really positive experience, their football experience. They look back on it and they say, "Do you know what, that team, it was a nice team to play in. I felt wanted, important, and we did well. We had the moments where we won things. For them, it's a big deal. So to be able to be a part of that, to give them some memories to look back on, I really love that as well.
So throughout your coaching journey, how do you keep players motivated? How do you keep them focused during the game? You know, we see the rewards and the success that they eventually get out, but during the tough times, how do you keep them focused?
Yeah, communication. Well, I don't think it's too difficult to keep them motivated. Generally speaking, people want to do well. I think, of course, they want to do well. Nobody wants to make mistakes and be the worst player. You know, all those things. I mean, we were quite picky. Not picky is not the right word, but whenever we were looking at new players for our team, if I'm talking about my grassroots team that I've been working with, the first thing is always about attitude, mentality. We looked at them as, you know, are they, not necessarily if they're the best football players or anything, but they got a good mentality, good attitude. If they've got that, generally, they're going to try their best. Things like that are going to be quite natural for them. But to keep them motivated, there's little things you can do. I mean, challenges are really good to use before games, individual challenges. So if there's something you want an individual to do specifically, give them specific challenges so that it just gets them focused on that. There's little tips and things like that you can do. But yeah, making them feel. I think confidence is a big part of it. I think if somebody's not really playing that well, it's normally their confidence is down rather than they don't care. I think that's quite rare. So yeah, just trying to keep them motivated and confident. Sorry.
100% no. I think, like you're saying, you know, being a part of a team does definitely help your confidence and keeping that high. And when you are confident, I feel like the other factors all, you know, fall in play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, confidence is a big thing in life, right? But it's in football massively. Yeah, it makes a massive difference.
Did you have any strategies that you use to develop teamwork amongst the players?
We kind of always try to, with the teams I've worked with, try to do things away from football. So team bonding things always help. Kind of do some, you know, back in the day we just do basic stuff, little trips or things like that. We went to what was it called? One of those escape room type things. We did that with the team a little while ago. So, you know, they don't really. I don't think they really are conscious of it. But actually, it's actually team bonding, team building. They get to talk to each other, get to know each other a little bit more away from the pitch, and have to work together, communicate together. Which they're sort of 16, 17 now, so that's kind of they're pretty quiet actually. They're terrified of being embarrassed and that kind of thing. So that really helps break down things like that. With all the sessions, whenever we're doing sessions, I try to ask a lot of questions, give them the problems to try and solve themselves rather than me just try and tell them all the answers. So I'll give them a problem and then go and ask them to go and discuss it in groups, things like that. I think are good for communication, big part of that.
100%. So how do you approach game planning and preparing your team for different opponents?
Yes,
You know,
that's
hard trying to figure out who's going to be lining up.
it's tricky, because we haven't got Sky Sports of all the analysis and things, so it's difficult to know exactly. You know, if you play teams twice during the year, so from the first game you learn a lot,
Okay.
and then you pick things up from the first game. Every opponent's different styles, different players. So if they've got a really good, let's say a really good forward player, is really fast, then there's little things we want to change. So adapt how we deal with that. If they've got a tricky player who plays out wide, we don't want to have our right back, for example, if they're playing on the left side of attack. We don't want our right back being isolated in 1v1. So it'd just be little adjustments, talking to the right back about getting him onto his weak foot. The centre back that's close to the right back not being too far away. So we're kind of almost doubling up on them at times. So little details like that you can adapt, little tactical tweaks. But the big sort of ideas on the game, I say, will stay the same. But it's just the little things, how to minimise their strengths, you know, and try to nullify their strengths really.
100%. Like in our league, we don't have VAR. So would you say that, you know, we have notes, we just write down little things, or we kind of just try and remember the game that we played last year and kind of go off that?
Yeah, I wouldn't trust my memory, so making notes is a really good idea. Yeah, just little notes about, you know, what shape did they play, what formation, what was their strengths, what were their weaknesses. So yeah, you're trying to nullify their strengths and expose their weaknesses. That's kind of a general thing. So yeah, like I said, they've got a really good player, plays wide. then you make notes about it, and then you can figure out what's the best way to do that. Yeah, notes is a good idea.
Definitely. Can you share any unique coaching techniques or drills that you find effective?
So I wouldn't say there's a specific drill or technique that I've used or anything that's going to guarantee you win games, right? Or anything like that. But what I would say is, as a coach, everything should make sense. So how you want the team to play on the pitch, that's obviously what you work on in your training sessions and things like that, right? So if you're going to play like a lot of the teams play, like Man City or Liverpool, possession football, if you want to track, if that's what you want to see on the pitch, then your practices, your sessions should reflect that. You'll be working a lot on ball possession, things like that. What I see quite a lot is, everyone tries to play the same way almost now. Even Sunday league football, you see teams playing out from the back now, right? Everyone tries to play the same way. But I think if you used to go and watch some of their sessions, I don't think you would see that. I think you'd see when the goalie's got the ball, you'd see the coach some of the time saying, go long, kick it long, boot, all that kind of old-fashioned stuff. So I think it's, from a coach's point of view, whatever you want to see, that's what you want to practice. You get good at the things that you want to repeat the things you want to get good at, and then that will start to reflect on the football pitch.
So how do you handle, pressure, making crucial decisions during an intense game, such as?
Yeah, I find that difficult. I find that really difficult. So it's quite an emotional game, right? You get quite involved emotionally and mentally. I kind of go into a different sort of different mindset when I'm coaching, especially if it's a big game and really concentrated. So it's difficult for me. I find it really difficult to make. Yeah, if someone gets injured, for example, okay, who are we going to change? Do we need to change the shape and things like that? But I think the key thing to do with that is to try to take yourself away from take the emotion out for a little while, so you can kind of making notes again. Going back to that, making notes during the games are helpful, and just having some time where you're come away from the being right on the touchline, almost kicking the balls for them. Come away from that, have a discussion with somebody. I think that's helpful. If you've got another coach who can talk with you and you can discuss different ideas, get their point of view as well. I think that's the key part, to try to just detach emotionally just for a little while. I think you see that if you watch Premier League games, generally speaking, the coaches will be on the touchline in there, as close as they can get to the pitch. But then you'll see them sometimes sitting down in discussions, making notes, figuring out what to do next. So it's just that taking the emotion out, coming away, and so you can think clearly. It's pretty difficult to think if you're sort of really involved.
No, definitely, literally, how you're saying that before you were a player, so you have that inner passion of football itself. So it's hard for you to just, give your points, give your analysis, and sometimes your advice, but having someone, next to you who has the same input and wants the team to win can probably give you some clear-minded advice or make you see a bit more clearly.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have two types of coaches as well. Again, you see this in the Premier League. You won't have the whole coaching staff on the area they're allowed in, the technical area. There'll be, the head coach typically will stand there, and then the rest will be sitting down, actually, pretty calm, analysing. It's hard to be emotional and analyse at the same time. So I think having at least one player who's maybe a bit more hands-on, naturally they might want to be hands-on. I'll try and let the players make their own decisions, but then definitely having someone who's in the background, who's calmer, who's able to better analyse, and then, like you said, someone who's clear-minded. They'll have a better mind and would have seen things from a different perspective.
What are some of the qualities that you look for in a potential, player whilst you're recruiting?
Yeah, so you obviously look at the technical ability, the physical ability, things like that. But depends again what level you're coaching at as well. So again, if it's grassroots, it should be different to if you're working at sort of development centres. I did a little bit of work for Palace at development centres. So there you're looking at potential, in the future. It can be quite young, but you're looking for potential future professional football players. But grassroots, not so much. But still, I think the underlying thing is attitude for me. That underpins everything. You get players of amazing ability, even who kind of almost become, they get into the professional game and then they sort of just fade out. And I think a lot of that's to do with mentality and attitude. And I think going back to one of your questions you asked earlier about, I forget what it was now, but we spoke about attitude a little bit earlier, didn't we? So it's a massive part of the game, and it underpins everything. You know, if you're today's football, you have to be. The work ethic is you know, you don't have superstars in teams anymore. And you had PSG, for example. If you're into football, superstar football players, and obviously they do well in the French league, but in terms of Europe, they didn't win the European Cup, the Champions League last few years. Even though, despite having Neymar and Messi and players like that, it has to be a team. It has to be a real good work ethic, and you see that nowadays in football. So attitude underpins all of that. And then, of course, if you can get attitude and really high technical ability, physical attributes, then that's perfect. But most important thing for me is attitude and you know what they understand the team ethic, team idea as well.
And I think attitude rubs off, you know, on players. If one person is maybe, you know, a little bit sour, let's say, the whole team can change its mindset very quick, and you don't want that energy amongst the team unnecessarily.
Oh yeah, it's a great shout. Yeah, definitely, that's true. Yeah, if one player's you know, it's going to upset other people. If one player's not kind of joining in with the sort of idea that you're trying to create an environment for the whole team. You know, an environment and set standards, things like that, of behaviour and attitude and stuff like that. If someone sort of goes beneath that, yeah, it does. It definitely affects other players. Other players might join in with that. It might drag them down.
Yeah.
And you don't, and it becomes a big problem. The atmosphere changes, and then when you're losing, you won't see that when you're winning. If the boys are doing well or the girls are doing well, you don't necessarily see that play out. But when things are tough during games, then you'll start to see them sort of break up a little bit. That can start to creep in, yeah.
What do you enjoy the most about being a football coach?
So the biggest thing for me is just, like I kind of mentioned earlier, the little moments that you get when you've worked with individuals, with a team, and then you see the progression. That's kind of my favourite thing. That's a real rewarding thing. And then the kind of the other part of it is the moments where, like I said, we won the league, which I'm not obsessed with winning. I try not to make it. It's not about the coach, right? It's a big mistake I think coaches make, especially grassroots football. But for them, for the players, I think they would have really enjoyed that, and they'll remember that. So that idea that I've had a small part to play in that, you know, in good memories being made, that's for me is the best thing. And so I remember being a player and having different experiences with different coaches, not always positive. You know, sometimes, quite often, feeling a little bit invisible. You know, not really important. Maybe I wasn't one of the better players, but that shouldn't be the key thing. You know, it should be more than just that. So the idea that I can have an influence and make everyone feel like they're playing a big part. And obviously you have players that are better than others, but you know, rewarding the whole group, and it's not just the sort of the goals and the flashy parts that you celebrate. You celebrate the unselfish runs off the ball and all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I love that. The idea you can really give someone a positive experience. That's what I love the most.
And there's so many highs and lows in the sports. You know, it's such a united sport. Everyone has to kind of play together to win together. So having that mindset and, you know, doing what you're doing great. There's so many people that are so happy to have you as a coach, that, you know, that you give them so much genuine advice, and then they can see it in their game and in their play. It means that you're doing well, and we can see it.
Nice, cool, thanks. Yeah, that's great. That's the idea. Yeah, little things, and even if it's not even football related. So if we're dealing with like the Carradine session that we both know about, if we can just have just conversations, right? Just to talk to people, even that might not be anything that I even help them improve on football wise. Just someone else to talk to. With the boys, you know, they're young. Started, like I said, under 8, so they were 7 years old. It's as much for me developing characters as well. That underpins football, underpins performance. You know, so even more rewarding, I'd say, than even the football side of the development side of things on the football side. If you can develop people as well, really cool thing to be a part of.
Oh, definitely. So the viewers know, just to give them an update, On Wednesdays, Aaron works with Carradine Foundation to do a football team to help vulnerable adults who have mental health and other disabilities, and kind of we spread light on it. I go there to take some photos and kind of encourage the boys. So just having that facility and that organization there, we're ever so grateful just to spread some light and, you know, inform some people about it.
Yeah, so we well, during my some of the work I do for Palace for Life Foundation, we work with different organisations. So Carradine is an organisation that we're linked with and we work with. So they put on a mental health adult football session that we Palace come and coach and deliver for them. So weekly, but we get involved with other things with them as well, talking about teamwork, camaraderie, and things like that. That's a part of that. But yeah, we deliver weekly football sessions. So the idea being, I mean, exercise, one of the best things you can do in terms of improving mental health, right? Massively helpful. So we come and put a football session on for them. They all enjoy football. Same as me growing up, I'm sure they was all the same, playing on the streets and stuff like that. So it's nice for them to come somewhere where they're familiar. They got friends there. You know, a lot of them been coming the same people for quite a long time. So a nice, safe environment where they feel like they can be comfortable enough to talk to their peers, the other players, but talk to us as well, like I mentioned, and just enjoy playing football. Just forget about any anxieties, release that sort of stress just for a couple of hours every week at least. Gives them something to look forward to. So I think that's really can be really helpful.
It definitely is very helpful. So of that topic, you know, how do you prioritize the, you know, mental health of players and creating that safe place? Because we have, you know, the Wednesday session now. Throughout, how do we create, you know, a safe environment, you know, a place where they can prioritize their mental health?
Yeah. So really, I think this comes down to the coaches kind of setting the tone, trying to create an environment, and you do that whether you like it or not. I think as coaches, as people, if we turn up and our body language is a certain way, if we're not very engaging, we don't really make any eye contact, don't bother, we're kind of, you know, just shouting instructions out. I think that gives them a message, right? It says something to them, whether you like it or not. So just the way you engage with people, I think the way you communicate, always try to, the first thing I do with the Carradine guys, any sessions I'm delivering is just first few minutes, just say hello, shake hands, fist bump nowadays, whatever it is. How are you doing? You know, gives them a little opportunity to get something off their chest possibly, or just that someone bothers to ask, right? So that environment, I think they're coming into that space where they know there's people here that have got a little bit of time for them. They're going to make a little bit of contact with them just to check in on them. Just knowing that we're there to listen as well as try and put on sessions that are fun. So I think the environment is the big part of that. And I've had lots of conversations with them. You know, you start off with how you've been, you know, what's new, that kind of chit chat stuff, a little bit of banter and stuff that I get dragged into with them, but enjoy that side of it as well, have a bit of fun with them. And then sometimes you'll get into more serious stuff, you know, which
No, definitely.
yeah, it's the big thing, right? Mental health, about talking and stuff. So
It's such a homely environment, and what I enjoy about your sessions that you guys host is that there's so much structure to it. You know, like you said, you start off with, you know, warming up, saying hi to everyone, socializing, and then from there it's like, okay, let's do our drills before we go into an actual game. So there's a lot of structure to it. So when you go, you enjoy it because it's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna have my little workout, I'm gonna still socialize with everyone, but have a really good session for that 2 hours.
no, that's good. Yeah, obviously Michael's a big part of that. Michael Harrington works for the foundation as well. Yeah, so I think the boys probably would love, and sometimes we get ladies come down, would love just to go straight into a game, probably, right? So some of them turn up late accidentally on purpose, just so they get to the game part, which is, I understand that, but yeah, we want to always try and develop them, yeah, football wise as well. So there'll always be a topic. We'll always try and develop something. There'll always be time to socialise initially, a little bit of fun, get everyone comfortable, and then yeah, we'll be working on something quite tactical at times, especially if we've got tournaments coming up, things like that. We'll work on tactics, on shape, but otherwise we're working on technical things, you know, shooting, attacking, defending, all different stuff. And then obviously the game is the big part for them. I think they enjoy that the most. But we went into a game at the beginning for 2 hours, I don't think it would work as well.
Yeah, and you see it in certain players, the first session of them doing the drills and everything, and when they go into the game, you can see them using the skills that they've learned, but they won't accept it, but they are using the
Yeah,
skills.
yeah, no, that's the idea. Obviously, the idea, you know, the stuff we do before is to it should be all relevant to the game. Right? It should be stuff they can use in the game. So yeah, it's about developing players as well. So yeah, sometimes we'll work on things. Sometimes we'll work on something and they'll do it really well in the session, in the practice, and then you go into the game, you'll be like they've just completely abandoned it. It doesn't make sense. But sometimes you'll see the connection, yeah, and you think, oh, actually, you can see, you know, the things we spoke about during the practice part of it, they're them expressing in the game. So that's improving them as players. That's really cool. Yeah.
So how do you address the stigma surrounding mental health in the sports world?
I think talking is the best thing. So again, creating that environment. So creating an environment where we make contact with them. So you're breaking down barriers straight away. There's no sort of big distance between the coach and the players, right? You're shaking hands. You're asking them how they're doing. So that is sort of just creating that safe environment. And that's the first thing, I think. Letting them know this is a safe place. You can talk. If there was anyone that needed to talk in more depth, no problem. We'd go off and have a little walk with them. If they wanted to go somewhere private, go and just have a little walk around the pitch, have a chat. I think they know that. So the best way to break, I think, as a society, we're doing it much better now. I remember talking to people about this, and when I was young, which is a long time ago, there was no talk of I don't remember the term mental health at all when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 playing football. I don't remember it. So definitely we've understood the challenges people face. We're kind of destigmatizing that, and it's not just that, it's not a weakness, right? If someone's struggling, it's not a weakness, it's just life gets people like that. So just allowing people to talk, that's the first thing. And it's okay not to be okay, right? That's the first thing. I think that will just naturally sort of destigmatize things, and yeah, that's the way to break it down. Just communication, talking, I think.
100%. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for coming onto my podcast and answering all the questions. I genuinely really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me. Like I said, really happy to get involved. I really love what you're doing. Sounds like it's growing. So yeah, really, really happy to be involved. So thanks for asking me to get involved and share some of my experiences and things. Hopefully it's helpful. But yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. Till next time, stay tuned.
Take care.